For almost 40 years now, I've been watching the rise and fall of the UK economy through the lens of the UK demolition and construction industry, and the patterns are usually familiar. To those of us who lived through the sky high interest rates of the late 80s and the sudden cardiac arrest of the 2008 crash, the rhythm is predictable. Peaks follow troughs, highs follow lows, and booms inevitably beget busts. The length and depth of those cycles may vary, but the fundamental pattern remains largely the same. It's a heartbeat, sometimes steady, sometimes erratic, but always discernible. Yet, as we move into 2026, the economic picture has become far less clear. For the first time in 4 decades, I find myself unable to pinpoint exactly where we are on the chart. I don't truly know the state of the economy as it relates to our sector because the signals are firing in opposite directions. In fact, if I wanted to check the industry's health right now, I'd struggle to figure out which end to insert the thermometer. The illness is certainly visible if you know where to look. Over the course of the past 24 months, we've watched more than 8,000 construction companies disappear beneath the waves. Those aren't just names on a ledger, they are decades of heritage and expertise just gone overnight. The number of skilled men and women currently seeking work suggests that workloads remain significantly down in many parts of the country. You can feel the stagnation in the air. Each visit to the supermarket or the petrol station bears witness to prices that seem to rise daily, squeezing the life out of the white van man and the major builder alike. And as January bites, many amongst us will be dreading the arrival of the post-Christmas credit card statements, wondering how the gap between income and overheads has become a chasm. And yet, if you look at the top of the food chain, the sun is shining. Contractors are still winning multi-million and even multi-billion pound contracts with a frequency that suggests a golden age. The government seemingly remains committed to its flagship house building initiative, promising to build 1.5 million new homes within 5 years. They're even making the right noises about removing the red tape obstacles by simplifying the planning process, a move that should, in theory, trigger a decade of prosperity. If you're a shareholder in a major construction firm, you're likely to be feeling quite insulated. Indeed, the Big Four, Balfour Beatty, Morgan Sindall, Kier Group, and Galliford Try have already confirmed that their shareholders will receive a windfall in the coming months. But here's where the reality becomes blurred and the picture turns ugly. The disconnect is staggering. Having based a major part of its pre-election manifesto on that 1.5 million home promise, the actual data tells a different story. House building starts are actually down. We're hearing a political yes, but we're seeing a physical no. Men and women up and down the country are struggling to find work, yet lack of workers is still cited by CEOs as one of the major factors holding the sector back. How can both be true? Major contractors talk of order books that are full well into this year, yet the specialist contractors and the plant hirers remain terrified to invest in the renewal of their equipment fleets. Why buy a new machine when margins are as thin as single-ply toilet paper? When a single bad debt from a tier one firm could sink your entire operation. There are several reasons for this apparent disconnect. In the depths of the 2008 recession, there were at least logical fluctuations in regional demand. Work all but stopped in some parts of the country and continued in others. Similarly, there's always been a gap between how workloads really look and how company principals talk about them. In this industry, bravado is a survival mechanism. No one wants to admit they're struggling for work for fear that the banks or their rivals will smell blood in the water. From a wider economic perspective, no one wants to be the first to vocalize that dread word recession. We've become so accustomed to austerity rhetoric over the last decade that we've probably lost sight of what normal or healthy economy actually feels like. We're living in a permanent state of low-level fever. It's highly possible that we're witnessing a fundamental restructuring of the industry's survival of the fittest. It may be those at the bottom, the specialists, the family-run demolition firms and the subcontractors, who will be consumed by the rising recessionary waters first. Meanwhile, the Tier 1 contractors watch them drown from the safety of their ivory towers, protected by a layer of corporate insulation and government-backed infrastructure projects. Fixed-price contracts agreed 2 years ago continue to protect those who set the terms, the clients and the Tier 1s, while effectively crucifying those expected to fulfill them, the trades, amid skyrocketing material and energy costs. It's equally possible that the widely discussed labour shortage is, in fact, a skill set evolution that we're just failing to manage. Perhaps companies aren't hiring because the workers pivoted toward sustainable retrofitting, decarbonisation, or modular builds, and the traditional workforce isn't being upskilled quickly enough to meet that new demand. But there's another darker possibility. In the recession of 2008, there was a lights out moment, a clear point where all the world's economic charts simultaneously went into freefall. You knew the enemy you were fighting. This time, the downturn is less universal. It's more selective. It picks off a firm here and a region there. Maybe that's why there's no industry-wide panic. The pain is being distributed unevenly. All of which brings me to the old adage of the boiling frog. According to legend, if you throw a frog into a pot of boiling water, it will sense a danger and immediately jump out to save itself. However, if you place that frog in a pot of tepid water and slowly turn up the heat, the frog's body temperature will adjust to the change. It will sit there quite comfortably, unaware of the incremental rise in temperature until it eventually boils to death. Maybe the UK demolition and construction industry is like that frog, swimming contentedly in its pot of tepid water, blissfully unaware of the slowly rising temperature of insolvency, debt, and declining starts. We're adjusting, adapting, and convincing ourselves that this is just the new normal. But the heat is unquestionably rising. And maybe the first real indicator of the true state of the sector won't be found in a government report or a shareholder dividend. It will be the heady whiff of boiling frog.